Hey everybody, welcome back to Jeff Bowles Central. We're checking out Flintlock, the Siege of Dawn. It's a brand new Souls-lite game from A44 Studios. Brand new franchise, never seen this before. Admittedly, the Dark Souls inspired game genre, because it's got its own genre. It's a pretty tight and overpopulated genre right now. There's a lot of competition for games that remind us of Dark Souls in lots of various ways. But this is an interesting one because it's an action game first. It's a Souls-like, but primarily it's for action. It's for really fast, kind of kinetic gameplay. And you know, as much as you might like Elden Ring, this plays more like, gosh, I don't know, God of War, or maybe even the Star Wars Jedi series. Maybe not quite as good, maybe not quite as interesting, but you get the point. So I'm playing this on the Xbox Series X. It's in the Game Pass, so it was kind of a free-ish investment for me, considering the fact that I got to pay for Game Pass anyway, and that keeps rising. Don't get me started. So yeah, this is a better game than I expected it to be in some ways, but it's about what I expected in others. So for instance, the difficulty is pretty much in keeping with a Souls-lite, not quite as hard as Dark Souls, Elden Ring, any of those From Software main Dark Souls type games, but also not as easy as your standard action game, right? And I have to say that the early parts of this game are a little rough because you're limited as far as, you know, your abilities and your weapons, and so it's not only challenging at first, it's also kind of a drudge, but that changes pretty quickly. And actually, you get to the point with this character and with Inky, her little fox-like god companion. That basically you kind of become a monster, except when you're facing bosses, which are still pretty tough, obviously. So it is a Souls-like that is meant to be a challenge, but the challenge wears off the longer you play because you kind of become a badass. You know, it's also not quite as big as a Dark Souls game. It's not Elden Ring big at all. It also doesn't cost the same price as a full-size game, so that's not, you know, it's not much of a complaint. You get what you pay for. It's kind of nice, actually, in the sense that, look, I play a lot of video games. I'm sure you play a lot of video games. I review video games, and sometimes games are so long, it's like it's a daunting task to try to even make any progress in it, let alone get to the point where you can say, all right, I'm done with this game. I saw the story. I collected what I wanted to collect. Now I want to share it with you guys. You know what I'm saying? So something that's kind of in the middle, while your mileage may vary on that, because some people like shorter games, some people like longer games. This is in the middle. Just a disclaimer. The action, however, is what you're coming for. And like I said, once you build up enough abilities and you customize your weapons and you earn enough weapons, the combat's pretty cool and the movement's pretty cool. You've got double jumps, you've got these cool little portal things that you and your little fox friend Inky can travel through to kind of cover the map and get back to areas quickly, or to discover new areas, you know, fast. And then it's also got all these cool firearms. It is called Flintlock. Mostly you're going to be hacking at people with your tomahawk, right? Your axe, your hand axe, or some of them are hammers, you know. But they've got a lot of flintlock pistols. They've got some muskets. There's some mortar type things. There's weapons. There's blunderbusses. There's weapons that do a lot of different things. And so between the guns and your hand axe and Inky and your super moves, there's a lot that you can do. And yes, while the early goings are a little drudgy, the thing is that, you know, you become pretty skilled at this. You become pretty powerful at this. It doesn't let down as far as fun goes. If you're looking for the challenge of an Elden Ring, may I suggest Elden Ring or Sekiro, or what's that new one coming on PlayStation? The one with the monkey god, Wu Kang. That looks really cool. There's tons of these Dark Souls games. There's tons of them because Dark Souls was a huge hit back in the day. Bloodborne, Demon Souls, of course Elden Ring. So yeah, the market for these things is really, really crowded. And I have to say, hate me if you want to, hate me if you must. This isn't my favorite genre, usually. I actually do prefer more action-based experiences in my gaming diet than stuff like Elden Ring. Don't get me wrong, I have played Elden Ring. I adore Elden Ring for so many reasons. It's beautiful, it's vast, it's strange, it's horrific, it's got so much going for it. But I'm gonna be honest, I like more fluid, kinetic, action-based gameplay, and Elden Ring just doesn't have that, which kind of makes sense. Most of these games you play kind of a lumbering character, and if you think about it, that kind of pertains to what medieval combat, which most of the time these Souls-like games have swords, sorcery type stuff, right? Well, medieval combat is really slow and lumbering. You're wearing armor, you're swinging big damn swords around and axes and things. But I have to say, it is refreshing to tear away from that, to not worry so much about the realism of physics. This game is not as inspired, it's not as creative, with the exception of maybe this character right here. This person sells you clothes and ups the amount of potions, health potions you can use. It's really the only colorful touch, and the story, I have to be honest, is a little bland. After a while, I stopped kind of even caring so much about the story. It's kind of a classic must get revenge on gods thing with the help of a god thing. But the environments are very well staged. Because it's a shorter, more condensed, slightly more condensed Souls-like, the thing about it is that every branching path, and there are numerous branching paths, every branching path seems to offer something. There's nothing that's really wasted here. So exploration is a must in this game. In fact, if you aren't exploring, you're probably not going to get super far. There's also some side quests that are notable, not because they're particularly well told, but because it offers the opportunity to get even more bonuses, to get this reputation, which is your currency to buy everything in the game. Reputation stacks based on how well you're performing, sort of like in a Devil May Cry game, and it also stacks based on how much damage you're taking. If you're taking none at all, if you take a hit, the reputation bonus resets. So you have incentive to play as stylishly and as fluidly and as well as you possibly can. So there's systems in here that feed on each other. There's a great core action experience. I really like this game. I really like this game. It's not my favorite Souls-like, and it's not Elden Ring, but it was a pleasant surprise. So I'm going to give Flintlock Siege of Dawn an 8 out of 10. I think it's well deserved. That's all I gotta say. Do me a favor, everybody, like and subscribe and share the video if you agreed with it. If you didn't, tell me in the comments. If you did, tell me in the comments. I think this is a fun game. It's not going to please hardcore Souls fans, but people who are casual observers of the genre and who are action fans as well might find a light that they like. Might find a light that they like. Might find a lot that they like. Get out of here, kids.